jollof is incredible.
Best I've had!
Many people dream of a big wedding, but what if that one day of joy brings years of suffering? This is the story of Tunde and Bisi. Tunde was known for his laughter that could fill a room, and Bisi was known for her beauty and gentle voice. They loved each other so much that the whole town spoke about it.
This sunset is so beautiful.
Not as beautiful as you.
I love these moments with you.
People would say, those two will surely marry. Their hearts beat as one. But Tunde and Bisi did not just want an ordinary wedding. They dreamed of a wedding as grand as the ones they heard about in the big city. They wanted many guests, loud music, plenty of food, and clothes that shone like the morning sun. At night, they would sit under the moonlight and whisper their dreams. Bisi would say, I want the drums to sound until the stars in the sky begin to dance. And Tunde would reply, I want people to talk about our wedding for years. I want it to be the biggest feast this town has ever seen. Their hearts were full of love, but their pockets were empty. Still, they believed that if they could only make the wedding big, their families and friends would surely bring enough gifts and money to cover the cost. So, the dream grew in their minds like a fire, and nothing anyone said could put it out.
Tunde and Bisi sat together many nights, counting their coins again and again.
Is that all we have?
Yes, we must make it last.
We will find more.
But no matter how many times they counted, the truth was clear. They did not have enough for the wedding of their dreams. Bisi sighed and said, Tunde, how can we have a wedding that people will never forget if we only serve little food and beat one small drum? Tunde rubbed his chin and replied, I have thought about it. The money is small, but the dream in our hearts is big. Maybe if we borrow, everything will be fine. After all, our families and friends will give us gifts. Their money will cover what we owe. The next morning, they went to the money lenders in town. The lenders smiled wide, showing teeth as sharp as knives. They gave the young couple the money.
I'm not sure about this.
It's a lot of money.
Take it. It's yours.
But their eyes said, remember, debt is like a rope. It will follow you until you cut it. Soon, Tunde and Bisi used the money to order food, drinks, bright clothes, and drummers. They imagined the day already, the whole town dancing, everyone praising their names. But the elders in the village watched with worried eyes. One old man with a beard as white as cotton called them aside and said slowly,
Listen closely, children. Patience is a tree that grows slowly, but its fruits are sweet.
My children, listen to the words of an elder. A marriage is not about the feast, but about the life after the feast. Do not borrow to impress others, for when the plates are cleared and the music is silent, only the two of you will remain. Bisi lowered her head, but Tunde smiled and said, Papa, thank you, but do not worry. We know what we are doing. Another elder woman added, The hen that borrows feathers from the eagle will one day find herself in trouble. Be wise. But the couple's hearts were deaf to these words. They had already seen their dream too clearly. They wanted glory, even if the path was risky. So they pushed aside the warnings and continued with their plan. The people in the town whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads, others laughed, and some waited to see what would happen. Would the gifts on the wedding day truly cover the debt, or would this plan bring sorrow? The days moved closer to the wedding, and suspense filled the air like the heavy clouds before rain. The long-awaited day finally came. The sun rose bright, and the whole town was filled with music. Drums echoed from every corner, flutes sang, and dancers stamped their feet on the dusty ground.
The air smelt of roasted meat and sweet palm wine. Tunde wore a shining agbada, white like clouds after rain. Bisi's dress glittered like gold, and her beads rattled with every step she took. Children ran about, laughing, while women clapped and sang. It was a wedding grander than any the town had seen in many years. Guests filled the compound. They ate until their bellies were full. They drank until the calabashes were empty. Laughter and praise filled the air.
This jollof is incredible. Best I've had.
Ah, Tunde and Bisi, your wedding is a blessing. This feast will be remembered for years. But when it came to giving gifts, many only smiled, shook hands, and left. Some families gave small tokens, but most simply said, "We are happy for you. May your home be blessed," and walked away. Tunde and Bisi kept smiling. They danced, they laughed, and they waved as the guests departed. But in their hearts, a heavy worry grew. When no one was looking, Bisi whispered, "Tunde, is this enough? Will the money cover what we owe?" Tunde's smile never left his face, but his eyes betrayed his fear. "Let us wait until the night comes," he answered. The face was full of joy, but inside their hearts trembled. When the music faded and the last guest left, silence fell on Tunde and Bisi's home. The drums were gone, the laughter was gone, and only dirty plates and empty cups remained. The very next morning, there was a knock at the door. It was one of the lenders. His voice was hard. "Tunde, where is our money?" Tunde forced a smile. "Give us a little time. We are still counting the gifts." But when he and Bisi spread the money on the mat, their joy turned to fear. It was not even half of what they owed. Bisi held her head.
"This isn't nearly enough.
What? After all that?
We're still shocked."
This is bad.
Why did we borrow so much? What will we do now? Tunde's chest tightened. I thought people would give. I thought our families and friends would help us. But look, most came only to eat and drink. The days that followed were filled with shame. Every knock on the door made their hearts jump. Sometimes it was another lender. Sometimes it was a friend asking for the money they had contributed before the wedding. Food became scarce. The rice was finished. The meat was gone. And even palm oil was hard to find. Hunger crept into their new home like an uninvited guest. At night, instead of sweet laughter, their voices rose in anger.
You always do this.
What are you talking about?
You know exactly.
I can't deal with this!
Get out.
This was your idea. No, you pushed me into it. The wedding that was meant to bring joy now brought only quarrels, debt, and sorrow. Their dream had turned into a heavy burden, and the brightness of their beginning was quickly fading into darkness. News spreads quickly in town. Soon, everyone knew that Tunde and Bisi were drowning in debt. At first, people didn't mock them, but later they began to laugh openly. "Did you hear about them?" one man said at the market. "They wanted to shine like the rich. Now look at them. They cannot even sleep in peace." Women fetching water shook their heads. Their wedding was sweet, but see how bitter the days after have become. The same friends who danced, ate, and drank at the wedding began to avoid them. When Tunde waved, they looked away. When Bisi greeted, they pretended not to hear. The couple who once stood proud now walked with bent heads. But hunger does not wait for pride. Tunde swallowed his shame and went from house to house, asking for small jobs. He carried loads in the market. He cleared bushes. He fetched firewood. Many who once clapped at his wedding now paid him little coins. Bisi too did what she could. She gathered her fine clothes and jewelry, the same ones she had worn to shine on her wedding day, and sold them piece by piece. Each time she let go of something, her heart ached, but the death did not care about feelings. Slowly, very slowly, they began to pay back what they owed. Every coin they dropped was like a heavy stone lifted from their backs. The laughter of the town still stung, but little by little, Tunde and Bisi learned that hard work, not pride, was the only true way forward. One quiet evening, after a long day of work, Tunde and Bisi sat outside their small house. The moon was full, but their hearts felt empty. Their hands were tired, and their faces carried the weight of shame. As they sat in silence, an old friend named Akin walked by. He had grown up with Tunde, but unlike them, Akin had chosen a simple life. His wedding years ago was small, yet his home was peaceful. Seeing their sadness, he stopped. "My friends," Akin said softly, "may I sit with you?" They nodded and he joined them on the wooden bench. After a while, Akin looked at them and said, "Tunde, Bisi, I know your pain, but listen carefully. You forgot one truth. Marriage is not about showing off to others. Marriage is about building a home together." His words cut deep. Akin continued, "The feast ends in one day, but the journey of marriage lasts a lifetime. Those who came to eat and drink have moved on, but you too must live with the debt and the quarrels. Do not waste your strength chasing the eyes of others. Use it to build your home." Tunde lowered his head. Bisi wiped a tear. For the first time, they understood. From that night, something changed. They stopped worrying about appearances. They focused on working, saving, and standing by each other. The debt was still there, but the burden on their hearts grew lighter. At last, they had begun to see the true meaning of marriage. The years moved slowly, but Tunde and Bisi did not give up. Day after day, they worked with steady hands. Tunde carried loads, farmed small land, and later began trading yams in the market. Bisi cooked food to sell, wove mats, and saved every coin she could. There were still days of hunger, but they endured. There were still whispers from people, but they ignored them. Bit by bit, like ants gathering food, they paid off every debt. It took many seasons, but one day the lenders came no more. The rope of debt was finally cut. By then, Tunde and Bisi were no longer the same. Their faces carried lines of struggle, but their hearts carried peace. Their home was not filled with gold, but it was filled with laughter. They no longer envied the rich, for they had learned that peace was richer than pride. In time, people in the village stopped laughing at them. Instead, they began to respect them, not for their wedding, but for their endurance and wisdom. When young couples came to them for advice, Tunde would smile and say, "Do not borrow to impress. Start small and grow together. The beauty of a marriage is not in the feast, but in the journey after." Bisi would add softly, "Those who eat your food will not pay your debt. Live for yourselves, not for the crowd." Their story became a lesson for many, and their home became a place where wisdom was shared. At last, they had built a life far stronger than the wedding they once dreamed of. So, dear listener, the story of Tunde and Bisi teaches us a truth that many forget. Moral: marriage is not about the wedding day, it is about the days after. Do not borrow to impress, for those who eat at your feast will not pay your debt. Now, let me ask you. Tell me, if you were Tunde or Bisi, would you borrow for one day of glory or build slowly for a lifetime of peace? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who is planning for marriage. And do not forget to subscribe for more African folktales that teach wisdom.